Hey, it's time again for Drummer Nation Live, the show for and about drummers. And today I have an interview with the new owner of Forks Drum Closet, Steve Maxwell, that I shot on the floor of the show. No, on the floor of the store when I was up for the NAMM show a few weeks ago. Stay tuned as soon as I get out of this box. Here we go. It's time for Drummer Nation.
Hello everyone, my name is David Victor. I'm General Manager with the Craviato Drum Company. We wanted to offer a one-ply, solid shell product, but we wanted it to stay true to our mission of offering handmade drums of uncompromised quality built here in the USA. So take a listen to our Center Stage Series drum set.
These Regal Tip Session sticks feel great. They kind of put me in the mindset of a thinner and lighter 5A. Go to regaltip.com, order a pair, or go to your nearest music store. Pick up a pair and let us know exactly how you feel about the stick.
Hi, this is Stanton Moore. I've been playing and teaching drums for over 30 years. My new site, Stanton Moore Drum Academy, is the perfect online drum learning platform for any level drummer to learn how to play the drums the same way I did. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of you as subscribers on the site, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun.
Our latest innovation has opened the door for all drummers to have the same access as top musicians in the world. Custom cymbals. Now available to everyone. Your next sound just got more interesting. Sabian Custom Shop.
Okay, I'm back. You can't imagine what happens just before airtime. That's when you find out you did something wrong and nothing's going to work. But I'm a minute late getting on. Better late than never. Have a fun show. I went to Nashville for the NAMM show, which is another story because I never really made it to the NAMM show. But I had business meetings and such. And one of the places I wanted to go was to the new Forks Drum Closet under new ownership. Steve Maxwell bought it from Gary and Melissa Forkham and has a new location. And we did the interview on the floor of the store and talked about all manner of things for Forks, for his other shops, Maxwell's in New York and Chicago area, and also he's the man behind Craviato, which they're moving into new digs in Nashville. So let's go right to that and check this interview out with Steve Maxwell, and I'll be back after that. Here we go. Hi, Marco Vosbar with Drummer Nation here at the all-new Forks Drum Closet in Nashville, Tennessee with the all-new owner, Steve Maxwell. How are you, my friend?
Good, my friend. Yes.
We've been friends for quite some time. What year did you start with this
Oh, my God.
drum shop thing?
The first shop in Chicago, I think, was 2001 when we started that shop up. Yeah.
And that was a gutsy move because you came in with a premier store, a high-end store, at a time when a lot of stores were dying.
Yeah, it was funny. We did it on a small scale. You know, it was designed to be boutique, high-end vintage, high-end custom, and a small number of major lines that we went deep within. So U.S.-made major lines, deep within those for some differentiation. We didn't want to do the same thing as everybody else.
Hit them where they ain't.
Yeah, kind of so, yeah.
Yeah, and that quickly led to another store in Manhattan.
Yeah, we did the Manhattan store a few years later. God, I can't remember how many, 4 or 5 years later. Mm-hmm. And that was an opportunity. We thought it was a funny thing. There were literally no shops left other than Joe Cusadas, who I knew for years and took lessons with Joe, and Joe was getting ready to retire. So we opened in New York, and the concept was the same there, and especially with the focus on Craviato at the time, so we were doing so much Craviato. So same niche-based focus, but in New York.
We'll get to Johnny in a minute.
Sure.
Now, they moved to Nashville.
Yeah, that was all just one of those things that comes up. You know, I've known Gary and Melissa for ages, love them to bits, greatest people going. And when Gary decided to sell the land, he wanted to know if I wanted to buy the shop because he thought it was time for him to do something different. So to me, that was a great scenario. I was thrilled to do it. The biggest challenge we had was putting the deal together to buy the business was easy, but then it was we have to find some place to go. And as it turned out, Gary had been looking at this particular building if he were going to stay in the business. And so at the end of the day, it worked out where we could move into this spot right here, and it was ready to go. So that worked out nicely.
And this is pretty close to the other one.
Yeah, it's really not far from the other. And in this area where we are now on Chestnut Street, this is on the verge of becoming like 12 South was, which I basically say 12 South now looks like Woodstock meets Madison Avenue, where before it was very, very different. This area that we're in now, the development's going on around here is huge. So it's very exciting to be here, and it's close.
Well, Gary's been a very smart and savvy dealer and one of the premier dealers in the country for a long time.
Yes.
So that's a marriage made in heaven there.
He has done a great job, and there was no reason to do anything any differently here. This Forks is a different model than my New York store and my Chicago stores. Totally different model.
Let me ask you about that. Let's go down to that. How is it different?
This is your, I'll call it a ultra pro and true drum shop, true pro drum shop.
Working pro drum shop.
Working pro drum shop, and meets the needs of the community. It's very, very different. Huge amount of walk-in traffic, and we want to have everything that everyone needs, and we also want to continue to serve that community in exactly the same way that Gary did for 32 years. We don't want to make any changes there. Gary's name is still on the door, and that's for a reason. This was his shop. He created it, and we honor that, taking it forward.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right. Leave it alone.
No reason to reinvent the wheel here. It's been
Not at all.
great for a long time. Well, I'm glad that worked out for Gary and his family and you as well. So let's talk about Johnny.
Yeah.
My dear friend, your dear friend.
Yes.
We miss him terribly.
Yes.
But with you in Chicago and New York and Nashville, the production was in California.
Yes.
And you made some changes there, right?
Yeah, we did. Johnny just recently was the 3rd anniversary of his passing. So for 3 years, even before Johnny passed, we were trying to figure out what were the best things to do for the next phase of Craviato, how it needed to evolve and develop and grow.
Right.
And then Johnny passed. So the real issue then just simply became how do we maintain and move forward and then eventually decide what we want to do next. So that was a difficult thing. He was so integral to that whole process, but thankfully the guys were all taught how to do it and knew exactly what to do and kept that going.
He's got some great drum builders there.
Yes. So at the end of the day, we thought about it all and we're thinking about we need to have someone manage that operation. And there was a short list of basically 2 people in my mind that could be able to do that. And when the Forks opportunity came up and we acquired this, then along with that was Sam Bacco's here. And Sam's history goes back to, the work he did with Slingerland, the Pat Foley era, the stuff he's done with Gretsch at different times, setting up the Mapex My Identity program, the work he's done with Cooperman. And he's sitting there as a principal of the Nashville Symphony.
And he's a great guy.
He's a great guy. So, it was one of those things that kind of came together where Sam could fill that role. He was one of the 2 people I felt could fill that role, but of course Sam wouldn't be moving to California. And we started thinking about how to better do business, and we thought, bring Craviato to Nashville. Forks is right here, so things were a little serendipitous. It worked out. Sam had an interest in doing it. We found a facility near here, which is an extra 35,000 square feet, which I'll show you later. 20,000 of that will be used as an annex for Forks. And it's literally just a mile down the road. 15,000 square feet is going to be Craviato.
Warehouse space and all that?
Warehouse, but also some teaching rooms, maybe some practice space. We've got a video studio, which will have an audio studio as well. Maybe build a sound stage to do clinics. So over time, we'll do that. But right now, Craviato is relocating there. So as of this moment, the last 2 trucks are arriving. We had 4 flatbeds for all the heavy machinery and two 53-foot tractor
So how
trailers.
long till you're up and running there?
We think we'll
God
be.
willing in the
Boy, yeah, I'm telling you, timelines are always tough, but we're looking at September 1.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, for people who knew Craviano is associated with Johnny as the guy and the main builder there, the drum quality, the craftsmanship, the build is still the same.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Gary and I were talking about this before, Gary Forkham and I, and it's one of those things where when people pass on, if they have trained people and documented the procedures and the processes, those live on. And I used to remind people that Johnny produced, Craviano has produced, it's not me, Craviano has produced basically over 5,000 snare drums and almost 900 drum sets since 2004 when Johnny started on his own. And those drums, when Johnny was alive, he signed every shell and looked at every shell before it went out, but Johnny couldn't build all of those drums by himself. You have to have a team doing that work. And so the processes and procedures are there. Sam was very good friends with Johnny and knew and appreciated and loved his work and understands how it works. So I think it's a good solution.
Sounds like a great solution. Great guys all the way around. Now, how about Terry? What's his job?
Terry Bissett. Terry's been here with me for a little over a year now.
Another industry veteran.
Yeah, oh man, his time.
Impeccable track record.
Absolutely, going back to the days of retail with Sam Ash and then his days at Tama and his days at Ludwig managing sales. Terry's been really, really helpful. And it's an interesting thing because Terry understands the part of retail that I've always, I've said, I don't want any part of it. For example, I don't want to be thinking about buying $299 drum sets at Christmas time. That's not the space I live in.
It's not where you're at.
Right, that's not the space I live in. But there are certain elements of that you have to have in an operation like Forks, because Forks is a true pro-line operation and more standard retail-wise. That's not my thing, but it is. Terry's really good at that.
It's his meat and potatoes.
Yes, so he's been helping tremendously here. The Forks team down here is fantastic.
Same guys still on board, right?
Daniel and all the guys, it's unbelievable, the team here. It's incredible. We're so fortunate. And Terry helps. And Terry's helping me in New York as well as we look to do some things differently there.
And you have a little bit of inventory.
Yeah, we do. We do, but that's okay. That's okay.
Oh, there's an upstairs with cymbals and electronics, basically?
Yes.
We're in the snare drum room here?
Yes.
I mean, if you can't find what you need here, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. And, we also try to market this, if you think about it, as, I'll call it the power of three, but we have 3 locations. And if you think about what's available, and we will eventually get to this, we're going to do interactive kiosks so you can see what's in each location.
Right.
Because we have access.
Shop all 3 stores from where we are.
Yeah, we have access right now to over almost 6,000 cymbals, 500 drum sets, and probably 600 or 700 snare drums between all 3 locations.
Wow. And now you've also become the go-to guy in the vintage world. How'd that work out? How'd that start for you?
Vintage has always been my personal passion and specialty, and it's what I love. And if I could only do one thing, if it was just to have one little shop, it would just be me having a vintage shop, and I'd be happy.
I think I met you at the Chicago Vintage Show.
You did, yes. So for me, that's always been a passion for me, and it still is. And a lot of what we do through the Chicago shop is really highly focused on that. That's pretty much the primary focus of what we do in the Chicago
And
shop.
you get a lot of pristine, we're not talking about an old funky fell off the truck kind of thing. You get some pristine, great collectible gear.
We do, yes. And part of that, before I had to search it out more, and after a while when we have a reputation for being able to buy these things and buy them fairly, or sell them on consignment for people fairly, the things would tend to come to us. But that's been a lot of fun.
So if somebody's looking to buy vintage, you have that. If
Yes.
they're looking to sell it, you have that.
Yes.
If they want to consign it, you got that going on.
Yeah.
And also key is you have a market. People know to come to you for that.
Yes, and we're thankful for that. That has taken years to develop, but it's there, and we appreciate it. And yes, I'm very glad to have that.
And I know you love Gretsch.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. That comes from when we were young, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was, jazz drummers, incredible instrument. And the really funny thing, when I was very young, I used to look at Gretsch drums in the catalog and go, I don't get it. Because I was younger and I was looking at, Ludwig or Slingerland. What did Buddy play? What did Louis Bellson play? And then you go on a little bit and you go, no, maybe I missed the boat here. And the Gretsch stuff is fantastic. So whether it's new or vintage, it was always interesting because Gary always was the #1 dealer for USA-made Gretsch. And my shops were always #2. So together, it's a nice
Another marriage major.
combination. And I just
And they're
can't.
made in South Carolina, too.
And Paul Cooper, I've known for 20 years. I mean,
Great guy there.
and the whole team at DW, which handles all that now, it doesn't get any better. Everything's just fabulous.
Dealing with the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
In my Drummer Nation studio is a Gretsch 123-issue pop kit.
Yeah.
Got the Kid Petty here.
Yeah.
All right, now how about teaching? You got that going on here too, right?
Yeah, we do. You know, we have 2 teaching studios here, and in the old shop we had 3, so we have a little bit less room here. But we're going to work on in that new annex space that we've created. There's a lot of room there, and our goal there is to put probably 3 teaching studios over there as soon as we can work out the details. Move the teaching over there, make it a little bit easier.
So
all
who's
around.
teaching here?
Well, we've got Nick, we've got Steve, Edie, occasionally Chester Thompson comes in and does some.
I saw that.
Yeah, so we've got, we've got the ability to do it, but I think we want to do it over at the annex. It'll be a little bit better sound-wise and just a little bit easier all around.
Let me ask you this. I mean, if you found a niche to make this all work in a setting where drum shops, music stores are going out of business, the industry was way down, it's coming back up now. Has the online Skype lesson thing impacted dealers?
You know, I can't say with a real conviction one way or another, but I think there's a lot of value to the Skype lesson thing. Just like I get people who will come to me and say, would you do a YouTube of how you tune drums? Because they like what they hear. So that's another version of a Skype thing. I mean, you put the YouTube video up, people look at it, thank you very much, that's good. So I don't think it's impacted the stores negatively. I think it's actually good. But they're also, you still need that person-to-person interaction.
Absolutely.
You know?
Especially for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
They really need it. They need that pat on the back.
Yeah, and the kids need to walk into a drum shop like we did when we were young and look at things and go, oh my God. You know, that same level of impact isn't there online. Online has a purpose, absolutely does.
Well, that gets me to the real thing that delineates great drum shops, which is the sense of community
Yes,
that you create.
yes. And that's a key issue, and the best thing I can do to describe that, my friend Steve Jordan, great guy, I've known him for years. Steve wanted to do a clinic out here, so he came out in October and did a clinic for me. And this place had 350 people in it, side by side like this. He couldn't move, and he did 5 hours.
Wow.
But the important thing about sense of community was Steve was here, and Steve didn't do much playing. He talks a lot, talks about things, and describes how his career has worked and unfolded, and how you do production.
I'll listen to him talk for 5 hours.
Anytime.
Any day.
But what he did was he had 2 drum sets up there, and Steve had people come up and play with him. So there was a guy there Steve was like God to him. He got a chance to play with Steve Jordan. At the end of the clinic, I said, that's why you have to have independent drum shops. You can't get that interaction, that touch. You can't get that online. There has to be a combination of both. You can't just all go one way.
Okay, well, I think you're hitting on all cylinders, my man.
Thank you.
And it's always a pleasure to come in with you. And thank you for the tour today. And I look forward to the NAMM show later on.
All right. Thank you for coming, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks.
Introducing the Star Festival snare drum from Gary Astridge, a handcrafted and precision replica of the rarest and most iconic of drums, Ringo Starr's 1963 Ludwig Jazz Festival. Each instrument is authorized and hand-signed by Ringo Starr and will benefit his charity, the Lotus Foundation.
Drummers seeking a quick and easy way to muffle bass drums on the fly, look no further. MuffBone offers an effective way to instantly dial in your sound in just a few seconds while seated at the kit. Find out more at muffbone.com. When seated at the drums, pressure on the tailbone, lower back, and hip joints can lead to pain. Only Carmichael drum thrones are scientifically designed to relieve and prevent discomforts associated with prolonged sitting. Carmichael thrones, we got your back. Okay, I want to thank, looks like I lost camera 1, that's why I have a backup. I hope it's working. I'm having all kinds of problems today. Anyway, I want to thank Steve Maxwell for that interview and encourage anybody in the Nashville area to stop in and see Forks Drum Closet. It's cool, it's hip. As far as Drummer Nation, we have a Patreon site. If you would be so kind, please visit it, Patreon, Drummer Nation, and pledge a little something every month. You won't miss it, and it sure would help. Aside from that, if you know any show topics you'd like us to cover, please let us know. There's the email address you can contact me directly at. Please sign up for the Drummer Nation newsletter. This means a lot in advertising circles. If you go to drummernation.com, you will see this login for that, where you sign up and you'll have access to a white paper I did on social media for artists, and that's free for you. Coming up on Drummer Nation podcast, the full-blown interview show. I'm editing it right now, an interview with the great Matt Wilson, and what an inspiring cat he is. And then next week on Drummer Nation Live, Ricky Rocket said he would co-host with me, so I'm really looking forward to that. Okay, with that, I'm going to bow out with a list of our patrons, our sponsors, and then out to the bumpers. See you next week. Thanks a lot, everybody. Bye-bye.